Hello, and welcome back to Strange Hungers. Last we left off, the party had been attacked by a crew of bandits as they were traveling the floodplains from the capital city of Aethrai to Leicastle. The bandits were fairly easily subdued by a fiery explosion from Kiara. In the aftermath, Matthias's mentor, Vice, expressed some difficulty with the Raj, connected with Oesh. The party moved to decisions what they were going to do with the bandits that had attacked them, those two that remained, an elf and a dragonborn. However, as some of the party were discussing with the dragonborn the intentions of this crew, Oesh had a more personal conversation with their leader and cut them loose. But Matthias, with his sharp eyes, caught this, confronted with force the wizard, and has left them now fainted, tied up against some barrels below deck. We left off there last time. We're going to step back in. I want to give just a quick shout out to One More Multiverse. You can now join their Discord, discord.gg/multiverse, to react live to this episode, follow along some conversations. Very, very excited about that. But that being said, below deck, Vice, the tiefling, holding her rapier out towards Kiara, just below her jaw. The party has stepped away, separated. There's just a moment here after the intense violence. And Vice looks to you, Matthias. What the fuck happened here?
Matthias has Oesh still in his arms. They have fallen unconscious. And he's just like staring at them for a second. The muscle in his jaw gives a massive clench, and he turns his eyes back to Vice and just says, "She fucking betrayed us. Barden, help me." And he asks Barden for some assistance, and seems to be like probably with Oesh.
Wait, before anyone fucking moves. I am not looking at Kiara. For my peace of mind, you keep your hands where I can see them and tell me slowly, betrayed? What does that mean?
I just need to put her down so I can show you. And he has like a tremor in his body that Vice is probably pretty familiar with.
Yeah, you also note that she's trembling too, her hand on the rapier. Is all right, sit them down. Yes, I just
Barden will
sure.
Barden will go forward, but only like letting go of Kiara, just like, you're not going to hurt her, are you? Not going to do anything. Just keep calm. Just very gently, like with the finger moving the rapier blade away.
She lets you move it.
Okay, keep calm. And kiss on Kiara's head before she heads over. Should I pick her up?
Just help me put her down. And is going to place Oesh up against one of the barrels so that they're upright, and then just keep your hands on them, please. And turns towards the body, walks over, and briskly flips them over and sort of pulls them out from between the barrels so that everyone can see where their binds have been cut. And the ropes fell apart.
Yeah.
I know it was them. I saw them do it. Or I saw the end of it.
This not a very smart decision.
No, I would think not.
Do you think they were working with this crew?
I have no idea, but I plan on finding out.
Alright, all I know is I saw flames and I heard noises of violence. I just finally lowers the sword, steps back a little bit, walks over to you, Matthias, and puts a very tight hand on your shoulder, almost where your neck meets your collarbone, and just squeezes down. Alright. I know we are continuing on our way to Leicastle. If a discussion needs to be had before we continue, maybe we can ask the crew to slow our travel for a moment.
I can do it. And he's gonna walk out of that room. But not before just like turning to Vice and saying, "Don't take your eyes off them," and is gonna walk out and go to the, you don't have to roleplay it, but just go up to anyone on deck and just be like, "We need to stop the ship now," in a way that like brooks no argument.
Ariadne gives you a nod, talks to the captain, and they throw those spiked anchors over the side, and the boat draws to a halt here in the mist.
If anybody needed to do anything before I came back.
Yeah.
Yeah, can I walk up to Vice, and I'm like, and I want to whisper this. I'm not trying to be, I'm quietly, well, first, do I notice the Vice is shaking?
You can give me an insight check, please.
Seven. Okay, that is a 7. Okay.
A 7.
Oh no. Sorry. I couldn't tell if it was a 1 next to. The 7 and the 1 look the same, so it's a 17 plus. Yeah. So 19.
19. Yes, you do notice that her hand on her blade is trembling. Her breath is coming a little bit heavy. You've seen her mostly have a fairly stoic expression, maybe a bit of a smirk or, ribbing at Matthias, but she's much more expressive right now, biting her lip a bit more, messing with her hair with her other hand, to the point where once Matthias actually leaves, you see her shoulders shaking even further. Yeah.
I'll walk up and just say really quietly, I can tell something is wrong, and for that you have my condolences, but I need to be clear on something. If you ever point a weapon at Kiara without a good reason, and this was not it, you'll regret it, and I say that with the full weight of the Empire behind me.
I accept no condolences from you or your Empire. I will do as I please.
Yeah, you will. Okay.
I step back.
I'll come back now.
Can I take a moment, since I'm with Oesh? Can I, since I'm there and Oesh cannot stop me, can I look at the tattoos?
You are so...
Oh, that's,
you try and Darren bats you away.
Oh, actually, that is fair. I did want to say, since we didn't get to say it last time, right towards the end, that Darren, who had tried to bat at Matthias to keep him away from or off of Oesh, is still near frantic, but at this point,
Okay.
just sort of like wrapped these like origami paper tendrils around like their face and their neck, and like trying to kind of protect that vulnerable area. So if you
Okay,
again,
if Darren is there, if my bud's there, just like you're right there, bud.
You don't hear anything from him once you get a little bit closer. Like, was still holding on, trying to shield as Matthias was holding them. Once they get set down, still is wrapping around. You sort of get closer and kneel down, and you just see, like, the book flap, like, opens a little bit, these sharp paper teeth, and they snap towards you when you step closer.
Okay. Not go to hurt them, all right? Just make sure they're breathing. I'll just be here. No problem.
No.
Walk
you can
back.
maybe get closer and... Oh, sorry, one sec. You can get closer and check over, but I don't think Darren would let you get close enough to look at the tattoos. So I just wanted to say, like, you can still be near Sig if you need. Yeah, go ahead.
Walk back in. Does not go far past, like, the entrance. And just looks at everyone. Fuck. Shit. Can anyone wake them up?
I mean, I could try.
Try.
Just very gently broaching with Darren, just speaking to Darren first. Hey, bud, do you think we could wake them up?
There's another shift of movement. One of these little tendrils unfurls, unwraps from around their neck. Sort of waves in the air. Lets you approach a little bit closer.
It's going to be fine, okay? Trying to think. Would Barden know a good way of waking people up?
I think you could just try and shake them awake. Unless you wanted to take any sort of medicine check to try and, affect a wound that they had taken.
Oh yeah, they got really bonked, didn't they? Yeah,
Yeah, they got bonked.
Yeah, they got bonked.
Kiara healed at 12 HP. Kiara did heal them before they went down.
Yeah. I'll allow a medicine check if you'd like, Barden.
So I feel like there'd be some form of training at Porrent to wake people, to vague medicine. Yeah. That's a 21.
21 for medicine. All right. So you can sort of gently shake Awaish awake. But Awaish, the shock of holy flame and some other deeper itch that comes along with it fades your vision. But your eyes do blink open a moment later. It's stormy. There's a sour taste, familiar sour taste in your mouth, and a tight, almost painful grip on your shoulder. Claws digging in. When you look to the side, see the figure standing next to you here in the rain by the Sotet Marina. You see First Rain, a buff, brawny, dragonborn, sharp fangs, and she is drunk and bruised. Her teeth are bared as you look over at her with a dark smile. Suit half torn to ruins. She lost her tie days ago after she tried to bind your wrist with it, and you tore it open on her teeth. She looks beautiful.
I look over at First Rain, pretty equally on my way to drunk myself. I think I've sobered up a bit, but was at one point just exactly as much. Still in no way to operate any kind of machinery or vehicles. But I look over and I say, that almost hurts.
Then I'll do it harder.
Where is this motherfucker?
He said he would meet us at the ship.
Don't go losing yourself now. I can't hold you up.
You could fucking try. Let's
And
go. Let's go.
I pull her along. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because even though she says, let's go, she's not moving.
No. Pausing for a moment, looking out over the water. You two tug each other down to the docks where a familiar boat is waiting for you. I'd say it's just cresting over from a late afternoon into early evening, but the storm clouds that are gathering have darkened the horizon to the point where there is not much light here, besides the burning of the lanterns and the bright and bustling lights that scatter a reflection across the brilliant ocean over at the Low Crest docks, where people are, as always, celebrating, partying, gambling, and trading. The boat that waits for you can see inscribed in dark mahogany on its hull the words, "The Bloody Baron." Doesn't appear to have any cannon, folded sails, but you do see, waiting for you, not on the deck, but right where the boat is docked, next to the dock, a sort of hunched over, young-looking fellow, slightly tan skin, bit scruffy, looks like sort of oil stains on his hands, wearing some kind of like dark apron, leather armor type thing, with a jacket over it and a scarf tied around his neck. You recognize this fellow, fairly new recruit, goes by the name of Kane, you think, comes from a little bit further up the coast, maybe Port de Seychelles. Yeah, fairly recent join with the group that you are a part of.
As we approach, I reach over in front of Kane, making eye contact with him for a moment before doing this, and then reach over and bite First Rain's neck. And then look over at him and go, are you ready to make some fucking money?
He turns his gaze away for a second, kind of tilts his head. You can see a confused expression, and says, yes, sirs, let's make some money. Okay. All right. Are we good to set off? Is anyone else coming? First Rain snaps, no one else is coming. Let's just get on the fucking water. Stumbles up onto the deck. He walks up behind you two and begins to just sort of by himself take down some of the ropes, unfurl the sails. First Rain begins to stalk around the deck impatiently, separating from you from where she was digging her claws into you and just scratching them down the masts like a trapped animal in a cage.
Yeah, absolutely. And after a few minutes of her doing that, after we get out onto the sea, I'm going to take her by the wrist and pull her over and say, there's much more fun things to do while we're waiting.
Show me an offer, and I'll tell you if I can accept.
We get fucking wild on that ship while we're hanging out, babe.
Yes. Well, Kane does his level best to ignore you. The storm grows darker as you sail through, tangled with your partner, and eventually you see what you were hoping to see crest through the waves that, again, grow more and more tumultuous after an hour or 45 minutes. A large, sleek vessel of a lighter color of wood, flying what could be emerald green sails, look almost a dark black in this lighting. There's no lightning so far. You only see just slightly through the clouds a peak of a sunset that's coming here. This is an elegant merchant vessel, probably 3 times the size of the boat that you're on.
As we get closer, kind of grin, look over at Kane, look over at First Rain, and say, "Bit of a storm. Looks like there could be more." And a little bit of lightning crackles at her fingertips.
Rain glances over to the sailor, says, "Are you scared?" He says, "No. Should I be?" Pale. Sweaty.
Not with us.
Rain steps over to a familiar mechanism. As you begin to approach, you can see that next to where Kane has been steering the boat, there's a sort of metallic, like a thick iron lever. Steps over, slides back what remains of her sleeves, and making eye contact with you while her muscles flex, heaves it back. You can hear a thick as metal spikes slide out from where there should be cannons along the side of this boat here. Long, thick prongs. They get close. And when I say close, I mean into. And the sailor does as she instructs, tilting the prow, catching the wind, until the two boats slam together in the water.
The moment that the boats slam together and the spikes sink their grip into the ship, Owesh has taken her hand around the thin mast, used it as propulsion, and literally propelled herself onto the deck of the new ship, and at the same time casts lightning lure and finds the most important looking person and attempts to drag them off the ship and into the sea, into the storm.
Okay. This is a flashback that I would still love for you to make. Would be an attack roll or a saving?
Yeah, this is something that needs for sure. This is a saving throw, strength.
Okay, that is going to be a 5.
Okay, so whoever Owesh grabs, I'll roll to see how well they gauge who they should grab in this split second, because they're good at it, but they're not perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you feel like this is? Insight? Perception?
Probably insight or perception.
Okay, they're both the same. So that is a 17.
A 17. All right. First glance that you see, there are a number of folks on the deck of this ship, maybe a few more than you were expecting. You, of course, recognize there's probably a captain, someone who's steering, but the most obvious and most threatening figure that you first lay your eyes on is a large, hulking fellow, maybe some kind of orc or genasi heritage. You can't really tell because of the dark light here, but significantly tall, probably about maybe 6'4" or so, wearing this almost looks like shells that are layered over each other, not like seashells, but like long thin strips of shells that have been layered and layered and layered in this scale mail pattern, wearing again like heavy necklaces, almost like thick rope dripping with these pearls that are hanging off of them. Just a massive spear in his grip as he leans against one of the masts. But as the boats shove together, he's thrown towards your ship. You can yank him out of the air and try and tug him.
Yeah, so I grab him with the lightning lure, pull him towards me as the spell says, but then at the last moment, I sidestep and let the spell pass so that the momentum is still carrying him forward, but he's not coming towards me. And then in the last moment, First Rain isn't there yet. Normally she'd be a part of this move, but place an elbow at his back and try to shove him further towards the water.
And he is sent flying between the two boats into the ocean. First Rain lets out a deep, whooping roar of excitement, a growl. Throws herself onto the other boat, and you see her sink 3 claws into the neck of another sailor and toss him to the ground. The two of you begin to go to work. Although she staggers and stumbles at some points, obviously drunk, it only heightens her talent, that feralness that you find so attractive in her, the way that she kisses your neck or bites into your shoulder. She takes the same harsh precision to the way that she dismantles some of these crew. But there are more than you expected here. And the soldiers, the guards, the ones wearing similar armor to the first one that you threw off the boat, they are strong. They begin to anticipate the way the two of you work together, the magic and the force. And they gather away from you, trying to separate, not letting you pin down one man, take him out, move on to the next. And it gets to a point where the two of you together, maybe back to back or leaning on each other, and they've made a loose semicircle of about 6 men surrounding you between the two masts.
I think Oash has taken a good deal of damage, yeah. So it's frustrating.
She spits blood out, puts her arm around your throat. Fucking bastards. We're gonna send every one of you down there, pointing at the water. One of the men responds, "Yeah, by Seer, you can try. It's your corpses that'll be floating up onto shore tomorrow morning." What?
I kind of dig my elbow into her side. You fucking feel that? We have to go.
We're going nowhere until we got what we came here for.
Oash groans and, in this moment of peace, kind of at a standoff, stares down one of the sailors. Fuck! And casts magic missile at 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
1 dart for each one.
You do so. They rush towards you, and you hear a tsk, something hiss from behind you. And then there's a thick rumble, and the boats shift. And Rain says, "Fucking idiot!" as she turns away from pulling her short sword out of a man's shoulder. And you see that Kane has stepped away from the prow of the other boat, has let it turn, let the sails move, has picked up a lantern and lit it. And he throws it as he steps onto the prow of the other boat, towards barrels set up by one of the masts. There's a pause, a moment. Rain reaches up, grabs you roughly by the hair, and tugs you backward. And then the barrels blow. There's no last word you hear from him. There was no call, there was no sign. He didn't warn the two of you, just threw, with the force of him stepping onto the boat forward among these men. It's only that motion that tugs you back away that saves you from the concussive blast. Flaming masts, sails, and a thick, smoky, acrid scent of burning flesh.
Fuck. And Oash, trying to stagger and recover, grabs First Rain by whatever is left of her clothing and starts pulling her towards the boat.
Mm-hmm.
This is the only opening we're going to get.
She moves with you. She knows as well as you do what's just happened. You don't pause for a moment to try and recover anything that's left of Sailor. There's no treasure, no coins. You just make it back onto your boat before the two separate and pull away. The force of the spike is not enough to keep them together if no one's actively steering them. and that burning merchant ship turns away, sails off, and eventually, with smoke rising up into the storm clouds, sinks below the water.
We're both sitting in this ship now.
Mm-hmm.
Down one person. And Awaish puts their head in their hands and says, I really fucking needed that one.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We'll find another one. We'll find...
When? What? There's not enough time.
He'll know of one. We can go talk to Rook.
He's going to fucking give us one after this.
I'll tell him. I'll tell him that we need. Fuck. She spits flame from her mouth. It roils out for a second, and then she clamps her jaws shut on it. When she looks up at you, you can see the steam hissing from her nostrils. She blows smoke out over your face. Bad ideas, lover boy. Bad
ideas.
There are better uses for our desperation. She says that like it's painful.
I need to be gone for a few days. If I can't get it this way, I have to get it some other way.
Of course you have to leave.
What the fuck, First Rain?
I need you.
You are not the only person in my life. And other people have more desperate needs than you.
No. But you work for me.
They spit at First Rain's feet.
Take your fucking days. We'll talk about when you get back, the consequences of this.
So now there's consequences.
Only the kind of consequences that I know I'm capable of making you beg for.
First Rain feels a tug at the back of her neck, despite Awaish being in front of her. This is a very familiar dance. The two of them sitting between fighting and then falling right back into affection, as violent as it is.
Yeah. The boat eventually, once the two of you finish, makes its way back to the Sotep Marina, steaming and smoking, but not for the most part affected at all by the violence. This is a hardy vessel of a Warren make. Return to the shore, and she leaves you without a glance backward.
And I head to whatever kind of bar, tavern would still be open that would have people that are just absolutely wasted, ready to give away their money.
Mm-hmm. As you step towards the Gilded Rose, knowing you could head back to the sweet prey that always lingers at the Sweet Harp, but not ready to face, perhaps, Baron, who waits there. You are tugged out of unconsciousness by another set of hands. Barden wakes you up.
Fuck.
Hey, sorry. Didn't mean to... Are you alright?
Fuck you.
What?
Is Awaish still tied up? Just sat against the barrel?
Yeah.
You are still restrained by the net, yes.
Yeah. Don't fucking get close to me. Don't touch me.
Okay. I'll back up. No worries. Just let us know if you need healing, okay? And he scoots back and then gets up, trying not to look too big, and just backs away and looks a bit conflicted, but heads over to Yara, who is probably a little bit out of it.
I think I can wait until after we know more about what's going on.
What's going on? What's going on is that you killed someone in cold blood and then attacked me.
Someone who demonstrated that they were willing to attack us, and did so. Why did you free them?
Willing to attack you, fine. And then fucking... What, death or worse? No, of course not.
I know that you were below decks for most of the conflict, Oesh, but they meant business as much as we did.
And you stopped them. Handily. So what was the point?
The point was, someone who's proven themselves to be a very competent mage let them free. They already had one mage who unleashed a fireball upon us, which I know you saw. I wasn't about to let them get their hands on another one. So what were you doing letting them go?
Their hands on another one. It was going to be fine.
How was anyone to know that? You said nothing. You simply cut their binds.
What, so I'm supposed to trust the ones who wanted to erase their memory? What kind of a choice was that?
What is the other option? Letting them go to harass other people?
Yes.
No. That's not a choice.
They found a way to survive the same way that we found a way to survive. Who are we to fault them for that?
We're not harming innocent people.
You harm innocent people every day by your association with that fucking government. Do you know why they were even here? Because your government burned everything that they had to the ground.
Do you know what they do? Do you know anything? Okay, actually, sorry, pause. Alex, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm making an assumption here that they have done, like, some fucked up shit besides just attacking merchant vessels and stuff. Like, I understand that warrants them getting, like, dealt with, but for the, I feel like there's maybe more than that for the level of things that are happening. Is that incorrect? Is that an incorrect assumption for Vic?
With your experience as a fire knight, you know that the Red Scarves have absolutely taken out and killed many of your kin, those who are part of the fire army. So I would say you haven't witnessed close enough the crimes of these pirates to know if they always act with lethal force, but certainly as much as you have taken maybe out a bounty on one or two captains, you also know that they are happy to kill a few crew members. Both sides are to know who started it.
Okay, so then back in. I don't use lethal force when I don't have to, but them, they kill, they steal, they harm innocent people. And you know what? You can make an argument that sure, maybe the Empire does it sometimes too, but we're protecting people. What exactly are they protecting? Who are they protecting?
Born a thief. Thieves are born of desperation from governments and powers that fail you again and again and again until you have nothing but to take. Do you understand me?
No desperate thieves that don't do you, right? I'm not going to judge someone for having to steal to survive. I am going to judge someone if they have to hurt innocent people when they don't have to, if they have to attack and try to kill people. Did you miss that part? I almost died.
Fine.
I lied to you about one thing, one small thing about having backup for us when we went off to do something not related to what we were doing, and you spat at me and you asked, how could you trust me if I wouldn't tell you something that small? How could you trust me not to betray you? And you do this. How are we supposed to trust you?
You. We were all going to be gone by the time anything happened. I made sure of that.
And what about the rest of the people who have been bringing us across all these miles? We're not the only ones here who are important, Oesh.
My party.
What was the first part of that sentence?
They're not my party.
They still matter. I don't know why I have to tell you that. So the intent was to let them go,
Yes.
knowing that they would attack more people who aren't as capable as we are.
If they could take it easily, there may not have been lives taken. Regardless, I don't think that my value on life is the same as yours.
Vice, who has been separated, looking towards mostly Kiara, although keeping an eye on Awaish while they were unconscious, and Matthias wasn't there. There's a pause in the conversation, and you hear almost like a choked growl. And when you look over, you see that she's crying. Not sobbing or anything, almost angry, trying to hold it back, but just a few tears. You say this group, they were burned by the race.
Yes.
You have made a foolish and idiotic decision because you have jeopardized a very important mission with a higher purpose. A mission that has taken a lot of work. A lot of work to offer a potential path forward that does not involve flame and destruction, but understanding, research, and learning. That is foolish to compromise that. It seems like for all your coldness, your misplaced empathy has brought you to your knees and crippled the safety of this group, because they will need a mage like you in the lands that we are traveling to.
Did not intend to jeopardize the mission.
We have to make sure that everyone here agrees about in understanding the consequence for the way that you have jeopardized.
Fine. I am no stranger to consequence.
I think that might actually be a nice place for us to take a break if we're all alright with that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then we'll see you guys back in 10 minutes. Bye.
Bye.
Hello. Welcome back. The party remains beneath the deck of the Lomi Sailor.
Sorry. Do you want to go ahead, Sarah? You got it.
No, go ahead. Yeah, after this whole conversation, Oeshu was pretty fucked up in Matthias's arms before they even passed out. After this very intense conversation, resolving it a bit with Vice, has kind of leaned back against the barrel and seems to be trying to catch their breath a little bit, and their lips have turned a little blue.
Matthias has kept as far as possible on the other side of the room, and is just again chewing on the inside of his cheek, and then is gonna approach Awaish and just move to unwrap them.
I will say, as you step closer, Awaish, you hear in your mind, I don't want him to get any closer to you, from Darren, as he sort of he's still wrapped around your neck, you're sort of just draped over your collar area, unfurls a few tendrils as he steps closer.
Yeah, Awaish kind of instinctively jerks away as Matthias kind of starts stepping forward, and then looks over at the rest of the party and says, you don't have to do it. Vice can do it.
Vice.
Yeah, looks to Vice.
Matthias. You guys look at each other for a second. All right. Steps over, slowly looking at your book. Starts to pull the net off carefully. This is pretty strong stuff. Winds it back up. Steps away and hands it back to Matthias over her shoulder.
Yeah, I think he takes it and then probably just leaves the room. And we're on a boat, so there are not a lot of places that you can go to be alone.
No, there are not.
But I think that at this point, I think his only option is the deck. So he's gonna go to the deck and probably head to the prow.
On deck, you see just most of the crew have actually, I think the entire crew are actually on the deck now because they were avoiding the conversation.
We're ready.
Yeah.
We're ready to continue.
All right. Captain. And Draknus waves and says, all right, we'll get back started. We've lost a little bit of time, but not too much. So, and the boat slowly sets off again.
As the boat jerks into motion, Kiara wants to look down at the Dragonborn. What is the state of the Dragonborn? I know they were dropped to 0 by Kiara's radiance at the dawn. I don't know if they dropped to 0 or less. They took 5 points of damage.
The Dragonborn is still unstable. Seems to be struggling.
Kiara is going to squat and cast Spare the Dying on them.
Interesting query for you here. Now, I allow in my world Spare the Dying to get people up to 1 hit point instead of just stabilizing them if I feel it is narratively interesting. And I want to ask, in this moment, Kiara, you are still thrumming with a fresh, sort of coating glow of temporary hit points because you dropped this Dragonborn to 0 HP. If you would like that to translate to sort of a more powerful Spare the Dying where you can wake this Dragonborn up, you are welcome to do so. If you just want to stabilize them and keep them at 0 hit points, that's all right too.
I think Kiara is going to... Kiara's main purpose right now is to not have any more death on after everything that's happened. So I think it is one of those things where I don't think she intends to like bring this person up, but I do think that Kiara is not in control of how powerfully things are coming out right now. So I think it makes narrative sense for it to be more like a heal, like a small heal than a Spare the Dying. But as soon as she sees the Dragonborn take a breath, she's gonna get back up and walk out of the room.
And once Oesh gets free, they are going to go over to the body of the snow elf and begin to slowly and procedurally remove all of their braids and their piercings. And then when their hands get too shaky to do so, they start using their mage hand to do it. Just like preparing them in the way that they know.
The Dragonborn starts to breathe again, stabilizes. He opens his eyes to look up at Kiara for a moment, and then just closes them from where he's sort of lying and smoking, still in his bonds, and doesn't say anything.
I review. Matthias actually goes back down, collects his things from where they're like by his hammock, and takes them with him back up, and is going to doff all of his armor, and is going to throw himself into helping the crew.
Bard and Taz, what are you two doing?
I am staring at the Dragonborn that Kiara has just healed. And like in my head, I'm just like, I promised them death, but I'm not gonna undo what was just done. And just, I think I'm probably just gonna sit on the same barrel that Matthias was sitting on, and just keeping an eye out. Like, he's just doesn't know what to do. It's just like vibrating with frustration and anger, but it's like, what am I doing with this?
Yeah.
Barden takes a minute to, because they're down by all their stuff, all their hammocks, right? Yeah, it definitely takes a minute to go over to Taz. Hand on his shoulder. Just breathe, right? Calm. No more. And then goes over to her hammock and pulls out the bundle that she's almost forgotten was there, and puts the package that her dad had packed for her into her lap, and just looks at it for a minute and breathes.
Do you want to open your package?
Kind of.
As you look for a moment and start to unfold this, Mountain has given you 2 extra sets of common clothes. So these are clothes that you might wear. They're not as nice as your main set that you have, like the embroidery on and that kind of thing. But 2 extra sets of common clothes that you could also use to like replace elements or repair if you if you need to switch them out. He has also given you a bag of a candy that's sort of common to Nook, but this isn't a normal candy. It's almost like a sour salted caramel. It's actually kind of unpleasant. This is not something that would be popular with tourists. It's like a little bit bitter, a little bit sour. It's made from some of the roots and the mushrooms that grow, out kind of on the salt lands. And also, again, it's just heavily salty, but it's like sort of like a chewy thing that you could just chew and chew and chew, like, a cow chewing cud. So he likes it a lot, and he knows that you like that one as well. Looks like he's also given you a bunch of threads, very nice threads that you could use maybe to make some braids. So just a bundle of rainbow threads that you could use to weave in or decorate something. It looks like he might have also grabbed something from Soren, because there is an embroidery hoop and a piece of fabric that is on one of the pieces of the clothes. Looks like Soren has started embroidering something on this embroidery hoop. It's kind of in progress, just on the shirt, and has started embroidering a crossed sword here. You recognize your sword, but then also the other sword is more of a sewing needle kind of sword. Something for them. So you have sort of a nice little pattern going on there. It looks like something you could maybe even continue or finish if you wanted to add your own little bit with the thread. And as well, just some nice scents and flowers. You smell this lovely, some kind of dried material, an old flower that's been tucked into the actual scarf, that Song family scarf that he had wrapped the whole package in. So it smells very faintly of some kind of lavender or chamomile kind of element. And there's a little note in here that he's left, which just says very simply, "Remember, I love you, and you always have a home here."
She bows over this package on her lap and just breathes in the smell. Hands are trembling now. Everything's kind of set in after trying to help Kiara and just trying to keep her calm, and then trying to help Oish, and now it finally all settles in, and her breath shuddering, and he takes a minute to sit back again and takes, if there are any red threads, she's going to hook a good amount of different colored reds onto her belt, onto this little hooked bit that's meant to be so you can hook the leather strap on, but she begins braiding out in this complicated Skyhome braid, red threads, and just thinks how she hopes Kiara will like it. Hope it'll cheer her up a bit. And that's what she's doing.
Oish, you finish taking off most of this elf's jewelry, braids out of their hair, and they look a lot younger now that you've removed all of these elements.
Yeah. So after they do that, it's very similar. It happens with all of them, that once you take everything off, they look so different. And so after they've done that, the braids always mean something different for everyone, but there are specific ones for specific circumstances, I think. And so at this point, Oish has conjured their unseen servant, and they do two things, which is, first, they braid this elf's braid in one that is commonly used for funerals, death, etc. And they mend every piece of this elf's clothing except for the spot where Matthias drove the sword through. Prestidigitate all the blood off of them except for the spot that Matthias stabbed through. And it's not a bitter thing towards Matthias. It's a weird criminal honoring of the way that you went out. And they tie all the jewelry into a bag and hang it around their neck, because that is a cultural thing to say that you don't need to be weighed down anymore. And then they're done.
You step away from that elf and you hear just sort of a low, Barden and Taz as well, hear sort of a low cough from the Dragonborn. And he says, their name was Elifir.
What is your name?
Low Breeze.
You're probably going to die.
I think so.
Does this Dragonborn have any, like, piercings or anything like that?
Not as many, no. He had this large axe. I think maybe a single ear piercing, something kind of a similar color to what the elf had.
Yeah, so Awaish actually goes back into the bag of Elifir's jewelry, takes out an earring, and goes over to the Dragonborn in full view of everyone so that everyone can see that they're not, like, pulling some fuck shit. Takes out the Dragonborn's piercing and slips in Elifir's and says, something to go with.
Appreciated. We weren't that close, but it's a nice gesture.
Are any of us?
Seems like your group has more ties binding you to each other than ours did.
Some of them would like to think so.
Blows out a ring of pale white smoke. And then slumps back again against the barrels.
Yeah, that was a hard thing for Awaish to see, so they're gonna pop out of there and go back to their little corner.
I think like there's still a moment of tension where Vice is still watching you and making sure you're not pulling stuff, sees where you go, looks over to Taz and Barden and nods to them to make sure that they know where you are, and then lets it ride. The mists coalesce around the Lomi sailor as it continues to sail across the long, flat floodlands of Skyhome. Grows darker, colder, snowing once again. That strange, flaky material, partially salt, partially frozen water, collecting on the deck, on barrels and lanterns. And then, Matthias, from where you are on the deck, looming out of the fog, are lights. Low burning, but massive lanterns of a dark metal to help you navigate this boat in the storm. I would say almost 20 feet tall, these massive metal structures, globes of salt glass on top with burning fires inside to guide your way. 1, 2, 3, 7 in total before you see it in the distance. A looming obsidian city surrounded by a low, dark wall of black stone, mounted up on a salt beach, thick white rocks. Androcnus says, "We've arrived."
Just nods and is gonna go put his armor back on and probably will shout down to everyone else the same thing. And we'll stay on the deck because he has all of his things.
Yeah, I think I imagine the vibe below deck is very quiet, but Awaish gets their things. Heads up.
Barden picks up both hers and Kiara's easily, just whoop.
Yeah, because Kiara's on the deck on the other side. Kind of just staring out into the darkness.
Taz will get his stuff after everybody else has gone up and just look at the Dragonborn and say, I don't know if you're going to die here, but I wouldn't be sad if you did. I made you a promise. And then he goes upstairs.
There's a low laugh as you step back up. And if you want to bring this Dragonborn up, certainly one of the crew can either step down and watch him, or just help heft him up onto the deck, or Vice can do that too. So he's brought up as well, and sort of sat and leaned against the mast as the crew begins to make their final preparations to dock this boat here. Now, Leicastle is, I would say, a mid-sized city. It is nowhere the size of Aethrai, but it's not quite a village like Nook either. Now, Nook had the tomb loft that was sort of the central location. Many of the Sir Docks, as Matthias and Barden would know, tend to have sort of a town or a village that's associated with their main significant location. They'll have a family home on top of a family keep in the capital city of this country. Now, Leicastle is the central location for what is known as Liehome, Liehome being the family mansion of the Leicar family. Leicastle is also very, very close to another significant location that you would all seen on, I think, Matthias's map, which is Lieport. This is a place where, if you travel from Leicastle to Lieport, you can set out across the Kvekdal. You haven't traveled as far yet into Upper Skyholm, which gets more and more watery. You need more like actual boats to traverse Upper Skyholm between these low flooded valleys and the mountains that peek through them. But here at Lieport, you could still make your way across the Kvekdal if you wanted to. You're just not, you're crossing more of the ocean. You're traveling more across water, which wasn't your original plan or destination. Just letting you guys know about that. The main sort of area of Leicastle is actually spread out around it. The obsidian, more city-like dark material, that is the central location of Liehome and some other significant locations here in the city. So when the Momi sailor pulls up and begins to dock, there is like sort of a crested beach area, but the captain doesn't take it all the way up onto the beach. More like these metal structures, these giant lanterns. There are smaller versions of those metal structures that are just set in the floodlands, and there are boats that are tied to them, so they don't actually have to pull up onto dry land. You can just tie your boat off to one of these small, little lit metal globes.
Okay. I think that Matthias is all business. He's simply gonna direct the folks to take them to the nearest one of these docking areas that they can find, and encourage everybody to disembark, while turning to the captain. And I believe we're leaving each other here.
Yes, I had talked with the Aster here, and she had said you would probably be separating from us at Leicastle. I imagine if you need to take another kind of transport, either through Upper Skyholm or across the ocean, my sailor is not equipped for that. So,
yeah, yes. Well, thank you for your efforts.
Thank you for your protection.
Good luck.
travel well. And gives you a wave. The rest of the crew finish docking this boat and will assist if any of you need help carrying anything out. Tents or things, just making sure. But you got a pretty strong group here, so maybe not as necessary. Matthias.
What are we gonna do with this body, and also the Dragonborn?
Yeah.
I figure we'll probably take the Dragonborn to the light cars. Or that's what.
Were we?
Sorry, go ahead, Tess.
Were we going to let the Dragonborn choose? I know Kiara asked before everything happened. You know where I stand. I think on what I want to happen to this Dragonborn, but the offer was made. Death or letting them choose death or losing their memory.
No more death. Please. Just Barden has Kiara's hand in hers and she's just no.
That's
Not
not your
bad.
choice.
True.
Vice steps up onto the deck now, is also put back on her armor, has wiped away any tears, is no longer trembling. Says, I think in this case, we will defer to the Valerian and the sirs of this city for what to do with criminals. We follow the laws of this country and those with authority in it. Looking both over deliberately to Tazriel and over to Awaish.
For those who are not watching and just listening, Vic is definitely cursing a silent streak.
Matthias looks over to Oesh for the first time since the whole shit happened. What would be your alternative?
You wouldn't like my alternative.
Because
But
I'm
my
asking for it.
alternative was letting them go.
Is there any way to ensure that they won't be attacking anyone else?
Not short of erasing their memories.
I can think of another way. It's more of a tradition where I come from, though.
Always just looks at Vice to continue. Yeah.
She raises her two hands and slips out of her belt a dagger. Normally she just uses a rapier, but she slips out a dagger. And she says, the Azli that I used to be a part of, one of the ways that you mark someone is untrustworthy. Sort of shows her hand and takes with the dagger just like a light cross on the palm and a light cross on the palm. She's not actually cutting herself, she's just demonstrating two crosses on the palms, says. Depending on the crime you are punishing, if you cut deep enough, you can affect the use of the person's hands, which helps to prevent theft.
I look at Oesh.
Fine.
Where's the Dragonborn?
It was leaned up against the mast.
Can I use that?
She flips the dagger over and hands it to you in a motion that is elegant and practiced.
take it. And I'm gonna go over to the Dragonborn and just stand there silently for a moment, just considering him. And then, is he sitting? Is he standing? Is he tied up? I can't remember.
He was still bound, smoking slightly. No longer smoking, but you can see the wounds. Definitely a lot of burns both from Kiara and the effect of the fireball of his own companion.
Okay. And I'm gonna kneel down in front of him and just look him in the eye. I don't want to let you go. I don't think it's a good idea. I think it puts other people at risk. It seems foolish. But I don't want to kill you either.
I don't want to die.
So I'll give you 2 alternatives. You can go to the Lykars. They'll wipe your memory of your life as a criminal and anything that might have led to it. And they will rehabilitate you, and you'll have a new life. Or I mark you as an untrustworthy person. I give you 50 gold, and you leave. And promise, at the very least, to try not to harm other people unnecessarily. 50 gold can get you far, if you're careful.
It can. I know that. I don't have much I care to hold on to in terms of memory, but I have no trust for the Sirs and what they could take from me. I'll take your gold. I'll leave you and your crew alone, and I'll get as far as I can from this salty country. I prefer warmth anyway.
And he's going to reach for this person's hands. And carves X's into his palms. And does it, I would say, it's not like trying to drag it out. It just like lines it up and then very quickly.
Yeah.
Hurts like shit though.
Yeah, it does.
You gotta carve deep enough to where it'll scar when it heals.
Right. And knowing
In a
that,
world of magical healing.
and knowing that he'll
Something that Chad
definitely.
wants to do
Sorry, what?
as well in this moment. I saw VJ raise a hand. Was there something that Taz wanted to do as well?
Oh yeah, just say there's still probably a bounty on you in the Empire, so I'd find something somewhere warm that's not there.
Looks down at his hands, and Vice says, "You can try somewhere in Bajau with those. Might not get you very far."
Maybe Baranabara. As long as
Maybe.
you have a trade, you know, treat people different to here. So
And then Matthias reaches into his bag and pulls out a handful of gold pieces. Not like clearly displaying how much it is, but just like grabs a handful and presses it into this person's hands so that they're like covered in his blood. And just kind of like squeezes just a little bit with the knowledge that should you have the misfortune to fall back into this kind of need and cross paths again with me, that I won't hesitate.
Noted. As soon as you allow his hands to uncurl, he flexes them, and then some of the coins, bloody coins, drop to the deck.
But I wish you good luck. And that's gonna be 75 gold pieces.
Mm. All right.
Out of my personal
As
stuff.
Matthias goes to walk away, I think Awaish has been staring in shock. If he walks past them, she'll try to grab his arm.
Oh, absolutely not. No.
That's fine.
He just like flinches, I guess, but like sidesteps.
Totally fine.
And will like hesitate and look at them, but if they don't say anything, he just
They will say something. Why?
You told me what your alternative was, and it seemed foolish not to honor that. And then he steps out off the boat.
They look extremely confused, but they will walk off as well.
Sloan, take a point of inspiration.
I'm back up to 2. I'm hoarding these bitches.
Also,
Very
take
personal.
for me personally kisses.
Matthias, when was the last time that you came to Leicastle?
I do wonder if he's ever been here just in passing.
Mhm.
But we'll ignore the in passing parts. The last time that he was in Leicastle and it really, really mattered, he had just turned 14, I think. So
This would have
quite
been
young.
3048 PW, post Wild.
I think
Yes.
that's about
it
16
is.
years ago.
Mm-hmm. As you look up towards this dark city, it is closer to evening. You had to travel for, I think, another few hours, actually, of that quiet, uncomfortable silence, decompressing. So it is reaching, at this point, near 10:30, 11 p.m.
Mhm.
Hard to see any stars, but the moon's light is visible, casting a strange, iridescent shimmer down on the obsidian of a city that looks different than your vague recollection of it. Leicastle, Matthias Markhart, has gone to seed. Cracks in foundations, tattered tapestries where normally there would be bright blues or reds thrown over the dark stone. You see in the distance cracked windows, smoking slightly. It is a quiet city, but this is a kind of quiet that only happens before something bursts from the snow in front of you. It is uncomfortable and tense. You don't see any guards. You don't see any people walking out or fishing on the floodlands. You don't see any lights in a city that is dedicated to the worship and respect of light.
Oh my god, fuck. Is anyone around? Is there like anyone just on the docks at all?
No.
Anywhere? What? I casted a glance over to Vice. Obvious confusion. What happened here?
I don't know.
This isn't how it used to be. It feels wrong.
Could I get a marching order from everyone?
Yeah, and also that 3 hours, can I have gotten a long rest?
A long rest?
Short rest? A short rest, sorry.
Yeah, you could have gotten a short
Oh,
rest. If anyone wants a short rest, yeah.
I also was gonna say I did right before we went into the whole altercation, Matthias pumped all 20 of his healing into himself because he would look in a roof.
Okay, cool.
So we did have, was it 3 hours after?
3 hours.
Well, I guess Matthias is helping the crew. I guess so. Kiara did get a short rest. They did not heal themselves.
Kiara.
No. No.
Honey, 'cause you do get your you do
But they
get
got
some of your spell slots back.
The spell slots back. And as for marching order, unless somebody walked in front of them, Kiara would have walked off behind Matthias.
Yeah, Matthias, I think, is obviously in front.
Yeah.
Barden's behind Kiara.
Right behind Bard and them.
Guess I'll take up the back.
Okay, and we have Matthias and
Where's
Vice.
Vice? Oh, Vice is up front too?
Yeah, Matthias and Vice, Kiara.
Before I go any further, I have to pee, and I'm nervous, so I'm gonna go pee.
Do we want to do another 5-minute break?
Just a real quick.
Let's take a 5. That would actually be helpful for me because I can get some map stuff set up. So we're gonna take another 5-minute break. We'll be right back very shortly.
Okay. Goodbye. We're back.
Come back.
Well.
As the party steps out into the dock, the city of Leicastle, they had managed to gain a short rest in the course of the 3 hours as they were traveling. So we'll step back for one moment as Taz and Kiara did have just a bit of privacy. Awaish had also taken a bit of privacy in that little tucked away area underneath the sort of lower bit of the boat, and Vice had stepped over to just kind of watch that. So there was a moment of privacy between the two of you, below decks, between the hammocks.
So Tazriel just looks around just to make sure nobody's around and starts to take off his armor, takes off the shirt he would have underneath it, and it's just showing full chest, the full tattoo you saw previously, Kiara, and then all of these just jagged scars that kind of look like talon marks, essentially, just across the chest, the arms, and we'll pull out an actual dagger that he has, a real one, not a psi one, and just find a part of his chest where there's a scar, but then there's also some room around it where there isn't, and just takes the dagger and does a thin line across and says, wait. And then you watch the dagger clearly breaks skin, cuts the scar, goes over and cuts the small space of unscarred, and then you wait a few seconds and you watch as the cut doesn't heal, but the scar stitches itself over and magically forms on top of where he did the cut. There's still the cut on the parts of him that doesn't have any scarring that he just showed you, but the scar itself is completely healed and just laying on top of where he just cut himself. And he'll take out his healer's kit and just bandage that up a little bit. When I was younger, my family and I visited near and it fades to black.
What?
Bam.
You bastards.
It's a private.
You could deafen all of us and let the audience know what happened. Oh wait, but then people
Yeah.
could watch it back. Never mind.
Damn.
Just say that. Let them do it. Let them do it.
That conversation will be revealed eventually in time, but we have places to be, my beloved party, and I wanted to reiterate because I didn't get to write it down. The marching order. One more time. Great. Lost my pencil. Okay, we have Matthias Weiss, then Kiara, then I think it was Oish and
No.
Arden?
Wait,
No.
this has at
Away
the
in the back.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Kiara.
Taz and Arden? Okay, great. So I have Matthias Weiss, Kiara, Taz, Barden, and Oish.
It was
for our marching
Barden
order.
Taz.
Got it.
Brent has
Lovely.
Behind the bestie.
Fabulous. Love to march. Okay.
Do we?
an order.
Love to have an order.
Okay. Here we go, everybody.
Nothing good ever comes from a request for
I-
marching order.
Got my outfit changed just in time for us to go into the snow.
Yay! My palms are so
Okay.
sweaty.
The cold never bothered me anyway.
Knees weak,
It's
mom
sweaty.
spaghetti.
Exactly. All right. There is no one on the dock. No one as far as you can see. If anyone wants to give me a perception check, you're welcome
Yeah.
to.
I'd love to.
I will try. Also, tell me whenever you would like us to go over to the other screen.
Mhm.
Perception, right?
Perception, yes.
19.
Oh
My
my
19.
fucking god. Natural 1. So that's a 4.
Oh my god.
Hey.
They're back.
And
They're back.
20.
All right. With a 19. Now it is fairly misty, so it is a little bit harder to see here. And I don't.
Sorry,
think-
Kiara got a dirty 20. I don't know if you heard that.
Oh, yes, I did not hear it. Kiara, you are so sexy. Kiara
Very
and
quiet.
yeah, not really paying, not really speaking, so maybe paying more attention to the surroundings versus there's a lot to remember in terms of, things you might be thinking about, Matthias. So step out here onto the dock and you can see that dark stone wall circling all of you. Sorry, circling the city as you begin to approach. The salt underfoot makes walking just a little bit more difficult. I think even those of you who might be used to it, just takes a bit more navigating. The mist is thick and dark. And only Titan is half full today, the second day of the month of Neth. Varun, the smaller first moon, is entirely dark, so there's not much moonlight to see by as it glitters off the dark stone. The first thing that Oish and Kiara take note of as you step towards that dark stone wall is that a set of thick iron gates are closed and chained. The second thing that you note as you step up towards those dark metal gates, there's something hanging from the wall. A white rope hangs down, and a figure hangs from it. There is a tiefling, pale, with two drooping horns come down long past the side of the face. Their eyes are covered with a red cloth that's tied around and behind. Mouth hangs open. Bare-chested, pale breasts, wearing over the shoulders another long white robe. And painted on their chest in a dark liquid is the sign of a rose.
What does that?
They do appear to be dead, but there's no visible injuries besides the fact that the rope is tied around their neck. There's no bruising or anything.
I know. Do I recognize that rose?
Same
Give me a
question.
religion check. Both of you can give me a religion check since
I
you
mean,
noticed it.
do I have to, though? If I have it on my body, do I have to make a religion check?
No, you don't have to.
14.
Cool.
I also got a 19. Can I roll?
For your perception, yes, you can give me a religion check.
Where am I? Sorry. Religion. Oh, that's an 11.
Mm-hmm. So, Oish, you do know what this symbol represents. Kiara, with a 14, you have also vaguely seen it, but Barden, I don't think it would be as familiar to you. The Black Rose is a symbol of a goddess who is part of the Yase pantheon. Now, I haven't mentioned this to as many of you. Most of what we've talked about in terms of the overlying religion of the world of Neum is the Decay Triad, the three main gods who make up the structure and life force and material, this world and this plane. But the Yase pantheon is a darker subset of gods and demigods who are in most places not very well regarded. Specifically, more of the common gods at this point on the continent of Senelji are the ones that are associated with the Raj, the Jurian pantheon. The Black Rose is the symbol of Merlin, who walks in shadow, a goddess of trickery, poison, and betrayal. And Oish, you know the story fairly well. I think it might have been told to you as you got the tattoo. It's said that the goddess Merlin loved very deeply Lydir. She who walks in the light holds it in her hands and shares it out among those that she loves. Merlin and Lydir were like sisters, were like lovers, were like family, a kind of connection that only two gods can have. But Merlin grew jealous. These were gods, you see. And gods, as close as they can be tied to each other, do not tie themselves down with mortal concerns, relationships, or promises. And so when Lydir grew closer to another god, Milio, another goddess of light, fencing, song, charming her with their ways, Merlin turned against one she had held so close. And she killed Lydir out of jealousy, like a spurned lover. Now, it is very difficult to kill a god. And in that moment, she became the maiden martyr, mother and protector of all those taken too soon. And Merlin was cast aside, cast out, into shadow, away from the light she had once loved so dearly. There are rumors, too. Someone who helped this goddess, helped to trick, one who could see so far, who could reveal so much, who could cast aside any shadow. The goddess Sabai. That's it.
Oish looks up at the rose painted onto this corpse and looks back at the party and says, probably treason.
I don't understand.
Not how they
just-
do things here, is it?
Clarification question.
Mhm.
Is just because I forgot, is the rose painted onto them?
A dark liquid doesn't appear to be coming from an injury, but could be blood or
Okay.
yeah.
How high are they hanging?
They're hanging sort of like up above the gate, so you might be able to like reach and grab a foot. I think they're probably about 8 feet, 9 feet off the ground.
Can I use my javelin and try to break that rope and cut them down?
Mhm.
But
You-
like goes ahead to see what he's trying to do and like gets ready to hold like to grab the body as it falls or the person. Like, yeah, go ahead.
With your height and just your general athletics, you are able to just sort of pull and tug the rope down. It doesn't seem like it's super strong or super secured or, supernatural or anything like that. So the body drops into Barton's arms.
I rush over to it. Do I recognize these robes, Alex?
Yes. These are pale white robes, often associated with Lumen.
Matthias's silent staring at this body, and then jaw clenches, muscle in his cheek working, and looks back to the rest of the group. I know where this person came from, and I'd like to go look.
They're not past these gates, are they?
They certainly are.
Then you have a problem on your hands.
Is Barton's gonna take the body over to Kiara and just be like, are they dead? Is there that weight? You know, the can Barton feel it?
Kiara will also examine the body.
Yeah.
Then both of you definitely, yes, this person is dead and their body's grown cold.
This gate. What's up with it?
It's chained.
Chained?
It is chained closed.
With a lock chained or like just
With a lock, yeah.
A rope?
Yeah, Tazzle. Well, he's not gonna do it like that, but he like walks up to the lock, touches his little pin that like that shows he's like a member of the imp, but like, it's like it's fine. And is going to try and pick the lock.
Will you give me a check with your thieves' tools, Azrael?
Yes, I will. All right, and that is a next. Okay, all right, big baby.
Oh no.
No.
I rolled a 3. Oh, wait. I have inspiration. I'm using it.
Yeah.
I'm using my fucking
The rogue,
inspiration.
it's the rogue lockpick. You gotta show off.
Oh yeah, that's way better. 17, so 23.
Very nice. This is a difficult lock to pick, Tazriel. But you've faced worse. So it takes a few moments to kind of figure out the mechanism. It is thick, twisted, similar dark metal to the actual iron. So again, like, takes just a moment figuring it out, listening to it before there's a and you can pull it off and the chains rattle as they fall to the ground.
Do we want to lock it back? Is the plan to not let anyone know we have come in? Do we care?
Well, I suppose the question is it locked to keep people out or locked to keep something in?
We'll lock it back.
And did I motion for everybody to get in and Taz
Before
just...
that, none of you are by any means required to come with me. This is not related to Fulcrum.
Well, I certainly would like to accompany you, Valerian, if you'll have me.
I would also like to come.
Yeah. Just give me a minute. Barden takes the body and tries to put it somewhere flat.
You can lie it out on the salty sands.
Takes
Is
a
and
bit
is
of
there
that
any-
robe and just
Yeah.
places it over the eyes
Mhm.
and the hands over the heart.
The eyes are covered with a red cloth. Did you want to...
Take that off.
Will you give me a wisdom saving throw, Barden?
Ooh, yes. Lovely. I mean,
This is
probably
helpful.
not
I
great.
was gonna ask if I could tell how this person died, so
I was gonna say Kiara and Barden were together with the body. Does Kiara need to make one too?
Who can see this tiefling's face as Barden removes the red cloth?
Kiara would, because Kiara was examining them too.
I rolled a 12.
Okay, Kiara,
have
also
to
give
roll.
me a wisdom saving throw.
Oh, that's a
I will-
17 plus 6.
Okay.
Oh.
Yes, Tazriel.
Yeah, is Barden within 30 feet of me?
Yes.
Tower of Iron Rill! Reroll that!
yeah.
I think is it re-roll or do they add a d6?
Oh, wait, I take it back. I think, yeah. I got excited.
D6 is still good as shit, though.
D6. So that's a 15 total.
Wait. Hold the 13. I think it's you add a d6.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's a 15 total then.
Oh, yes. Okay, amazing. So as you look down towards the face, Taz, I think you spend a psionic die in order to
Yep.
add, just for a moment, shield. There's a sudden presence that you feel, and you've had a connection with Barden's mind before, almost like a subconscious reaction of throwing up a shield around her as this creature's face, the eyes have entirely melted out of their sockets, almost dripping like tears through some kind of intense heat or something that they might have seen, eyebrows singed and burnt off. And marked right between the brow, you see another symbol. This is a strange, like, pointed star, almost, with these two wings that come off of it. But as you look towards it, Barden and Kiara, a sudden flicker in the two sockets of a bright white light for a moment that beams out before you can get the red cloth back over the eyes. But neither of you are affected.
What was that? Barden, are you okay?
That was different. What was that symbol? Is it anything I recognize?
You can give me another religion check.
I will also do the same.
You and Kurt. Yeah.
For 17.
Oh, that's a
Mhm.
19.
19.
Yeah.
This is a twisted approximation of a symbol of the Raven cycle. One of the gods of the Raven cycle, we have the Raven King, the Raven Queen, the Bee Queen, and the Bee King. The Bee Queen and Bee King are often associated with those kind of wings, but the star is usually more associated with Circe. Their stars are associated with Circe, who is the god of water and fertility, or Sabai, who, as I mentioned, is one of the supposed gods who helped Merlin to trick Lydear before killing her, usually that would be many stars, not just one star. So kind of hard to tell if it's specifically related to religious elements, but with those roles, generally a sense of like a warning surrounding death and secrecy.
Mm.
Feel like they might have seen something they weren't meant to.
I've never seen a person holding this much power after their death. I think Kiara just kind of looks towards Matthias, confused.
If it's all right for him to have witnessed this.
You guys saw the light shine out, you just weren't looking at it directly. So, yeah.
I have no idea. But we might be able to find out more.
Do you mind if I take a look?
Who are you asking?
Anyone?
Kiara will step away to allow Oish the space. But broad berth.
Yeah. Seeing that those two almost got fucked up, I am not going to remove the blindfold.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to cast Detect Magic.
Right. And remind me, Detect Magic tells you the school of magic?
So, yes, for the duration you sense the presence of magic. If you sense magic in this way, you can use your action to see its faint aura or object in the area that bears magic, and you learned at the school of magic, if any.
Okay. I will say also, you note, just being surrounded by the party, and I'm not sure I mentioned it before, Barden's sword lights up with magic. You've seen her cast spells with it, but you recognize that that is likely magic. I think the only other magical items, you definitely see a slight aura around the necklace that you're still wearing, that Siren had told you to get, as well as around Darren, a familiar magic aura around him, and around the grimoire that you still have in your possession as well. The School of Magic here is necromancy and abjuration.
Necromancy and abjuration. Okay.
Stronger necromancy.
Are there any other marks or anything on this body that would intimate that they died a different way than what is going on with their face?
I would say usually that's medicine. You're kind of using your arcana here and looking for something that's a little less natural. So I will allow you to make a medicine check using your intelligence. Wait, is medicine already intelligence?
Medicine is wisdom.
Okay, I'll allow you to make a medicine check using your intelligence.
You're so sexy.
Yeah.
I got a 10.
A 10. All right. Doesn't
Wait,
look like...
11. I have a +5 to intelligence now.
It doesn't seem like they were killed by any natural means, so you can intimate that it was with something unnatural or magic, but you're not specifically sure what.
Okay. I'll look back at Matthias, who seems to have the most experience with Lydcastle. There's still a little bit of that reluctance to address him there, but clearly something has shifted after that last interaction with the Dragonborn. And they say, does this town have any particular bent towards necromancy?
Necromancy? No. Not, I mean, at least not that Sloane knows. Alex? Yeah. No.
No. Well, I'll say this specifically. No association with necromancy, but you know that this place is associated with Lydear, and there are forms of necromancy where normally necromancy is just very frowned upon. There are forms of necromancy and some necromantic spells that might be associated with Lydear, where like a cleric might cast them, and it's considered kind of more natural. The undead maiden martyr is the one god who allows some necromancy to occur in a way that's safe. but still unusual.
Only in very limited ways. Why?
I would not call what happened to this person limited. And I would call it quite necromantic.
We should find out why. They
Are
were
we
left
taking
here
it
with
us?
the rose on as a symbol of something.
It
Sure,
represents
why
a god
not?
betrayal.
I'm so sorry, Sarah. Say it again.
It's okay. There's a little bit of a lag on my internet, so it's fine. Matthias said, sure, why not? As in taking the body with us?
Yes, and Sloan said, sure, why not? I kind of said it, but he wouldn't say that. He would nod and say, yes, okay, or
Sure,
all right,
why
or
not?
something. Sure, why not? And would probably do get down and do like a fireman's carry.
Okay.
All right.
I forget what I was saying. So.
Damn it.
It was about
I think you
betrayal.
just explained the symbol of the rose.
Oh, yes. I said it's from a god of trickery and betrayal.
That ringing any dings, Alex, for me?
You would know these specifically Merlin and Lydia. The only reason I didn't give you a religion check is because I think Matthias was distracted and didn't note it as much. But
When a
yes,
witch
you
says that,
recognize.
though.
Yeah, you know the story as well.
So, like I said, possibly treason.
I would say that Matthias is usually pretty stone-faced. I think the one indicator here that something is really up is that his sort of resting bitch face is somehow
Nice.
more intense.
Ooh, a bitchier bitch face.
I love it.
Bitchier and bitchier. But he just like doesn't say anything for a moment and then just, if we're ready, and begins to walk in to the city, or what is left of it.
Down we go.
You step in to this city. When you last saw it, age of 14, when you were last here of your own will, the streets of Leicastle are often filled, despite the dark stone and the reflective surfaces, with light, with white, and with a quiet, peaceful celebration. Surdux Lycar is associated in Skyholm with worship and faith. I think, Barden, you might have heard Siren speak to this family. He is not particularly fond of many of the different Surdux of Skyholm, but he has spoken in passing about the Lycars as offering a location for quiet mourning that means a lot to a lot of people in this country. It is a place and a family that offers support, solidarity. The city you pass through now does not seem like a place of faith, support, or solidarity. Your faces, as you walk past these obsidian buildings, the reflective stone, just a hint of the moonlight, are distorted, washed out. Mist curls underneath your feet, creating strange eddies, like Darren's tentacles that he's now tucked away. You can't hear any footsteps but your own echoing out through these streets. Cobble, shuttered windows, and it's still snowing overhead, gathering on the street corners, catching in your hair, chilling you, as you see finally stepping towards a more open courtyard, another strange sight. The first person. This is a hunched over woman facing away. She wears, similar to the tiefling, a long white robe that is drawn up over her head. From behind, you can see eddies of smoke swirl around where her head and face should be, and these strange spikes as well that emerge from a headpiece, almost like a miniature sun in design, facing towards a fountain in the center of this courtyard. Kneeling, as if in prayer, with her hands on the edge of the fountain, looking at it, although no water burbles out.
I'm muted. Excuse me.
Figure turns around. You recognize Matthias. Lumen Frankna. This is an older nun, not often stepping up or actively associated in, certain forms of worship or rituals that you might have partaken in as a child. She was quieter, just more an assistant, a lovely, simple woman who especially offered a lot of support to some of the older women who would come and seek residence here. As she turns toward you, you see that her eyes are covered. Long white veil that also trails over her face, and the mist seems to be swirling around as it gathers around the fountain. Turns toward you very slowly, but does not speak.
I think that on, seeing her and, watching her turn around in recognition, his body kind of, jerks for a second and then continues with this motion. He, reflexively touches his head and then his chest, in, a greeting, and bows his head. Lumen.
She bows, slowly stands up from the fountain, and when she opens her mouth, her words echo. There's a layer to them. Something just a little bit more hollow than what she actually says. Says, "Have you been sent by Our Lady to help cleanse this place?"
I'm not here on behalf of Lydir, no. No, it's chance that we came here at all. What happened here?
Things that seem like chance are actually the hand of fate guiding us to where we are needed most.
I see. He pulls the body off of his shoulders and lets the feet touch the ground, and then kind of brings it around and holds it, almost like he's dipping her so that the lumen could catch sight of the rose on their chest.
What happened here? There is a decay in the temple. Not everyone survives it.
What decay?
A rotting parody of Our Lady.
And the temple still stands.
Stand still.
And the memories inside?
Nothing can touch those.
Tell me more.
She begins to stand up from where she was kneeling, putting a hand on the fountain, making her way to her feet.
I'll lay the body down and go to help her.
As she straightens up, you hear a of her spine cracking as she straightens up from the bowed position of an older woman to an almost uncomfortable looking position with her head tilted back so that the veil falls onto her chest. Decay takes us all eventually. That is natural. Our Lady says that is natural. But it does not feel natural.
What do you feel?
Cold.
Cold.
She begins to reach up and lift the veil from her face. And as she does, I need everyone who can see it to make a wisdom saving throw for me.
Let's get haunted.
Cool.
This shit is so fucking scary.
My book is hiding, but I will make it.
God, oh my fucking god. Okay.
Oh no!
12.
12,
11.
19, 11. DJ.
Fuck. Oh no. Okay. Well, first off. Okay. I'm sorry, y'all. I was gonna use my reaction to help somebody, but well.
Okay.
So help yourself.
I got a 6, but I'm gonna burn my last point of inspiration.
Nope. Actually, I will use my reaction to help. Who rolled the lowest?
Let's
in
find
fail?
out.
Maddie, probably? Or
I got an
11
11.
from Matthias.
I got a 15 on my reroll.
Yeah,
I
Taz
don't know.
failed, period. I rolled a 3 with no bonus to wisdom saves. Maddie, you feel like, going off of what Alex said, we've had our mind connection before. You feel like my presence in your head, similar to when we've talked, and there's just like a... And roll a d6 and add it to your thing. I'm
Oh
down.
my god,
to
I'm
2
shaking
of these.
so badly I can't even pick up my dice. I rolled a 1 on that d6, so that is a 12.
Okay.
twins!
So,
Cloud
Kiara
car got a cloud
Matthias
car.
with the 12. Okay. And Taz, you still got a 3, right? You used, or did you use your inspiration to reroll it?
I used that inspiration on the fucking lock.
You're right.
I only have 1.
Amazing.
Mistakes were made.
Good to note. All right, and fabulous. Okay, so Matthias and Kiara, and make sure, Taz, you've now expended 2 psionic die here, so make sure you're marking those. so personal to me.
No, don't shut up ever.
Sweaty.
Matthias and Kiara, you are both frightened. You did not fail this save by a certain number, so for right now, you are both just frightened, because as this nun lifts her veil and reveals her face to you, you can see where her eyes should be empty sockets, skin sloughing off. Her jaw moves as she talks, but there is no skin on the bottom half of her face. The muscles and the ligaments that should be holding her together have been replaced with a red thread that is tying them. And as she speaks, the red threads move and tug like she's being puppeted, drawn back through the empty sockets and tied to that gold crown.
Oh, fuck. I'm frightened, right?
You are frightened.
I can't really do anything to her when I'm frightened, so I think that he stumbles backwards.
Wait, I gotta
Wish
I was saying, where is
drains of any additional color that it had, even failing the save, seeing this, but then it takes a breath and looks close.
Guys, do you just bumble back into Kiara?
Oh, yeah, he fully just, like, stumbles back, I think, a couple of feet. Just putting space.
Yeah, I think
Between them.
Kiara, also frightened, like, it probably just falls to the ground.
Oh, God.
She says cold, shows you her face, and then begins to step towards all of you, reaching out with a hand towards Matthias.
Not another step.
Pauses and continues.
Awaish puts out a hand, stepping in front of the frightened party members, and repeats, "Not another step."
Give me a persuasion or intimidation check, up to you.
Well, they're both charisma, so I flat roll to them today. Let's see what happens.
Oh.
I want to be clear that if I do not intimidate this person into stopping,
Sorry.
fucking, I'll go for it.
Vic, you're
Sorry. Did I am I also frightened? Did something else happen to me? Did I miss that?
Oh, wait. What did you get in total?
I got a 3.
Has failed bad.
Oh,
I
no.
know. Bad. I've been like Alex waiting to scare me more because I'm so
You've been glitching, Vic.
Yeah.
okay. I will.
All right. So, Taz is towards the back, and this just happens. Like you step forward, the woman still continues to step as Awaish raises their hand. Taz, when you look at this woman's face, you see the bones, sinew.
Thanks for the raid. Content warning, this is horror,
Yeah,
and
content warning.
there's
This-
currently a very skeletal old lady. Did my
down? No.
No, we're back.
We're back?
Did anybody else's shit just go like totally wacky?
Oh, everyone's shit.
Everyone's
Okay,
shit.
great. Well, anyway,
Oh my god.
thanks so much for the raid. CW for horror and a little bit of gore and necromancy.
Yeah.
Thank you for the
We're getting
raid.
spooky.
It's real spooky and scurry.
Tazriel, as you look towards this woman, you see the jaw, the red threads. You feel your face unconsciously tug into a smile. And then a very similar feeling to what you experienced in the Sorft game. As something tugs and drains away from you.
What?
And you aged 20 years.
Oh my god.
Now,
Oh my god!
you are, of course, a long-lived person with a lot of ties to flame. You are, as we've said, you have many years under you, but wrinkles appear under your eyes. You feel a sudden, deep sense of lethargy. Doesn't change your appearance very much, but your lifespan has been shortened by 20 years.
Oh my god.
I did get a 19 on my intimidation.
You raise your hand, and the woman stops. You have to cleanse this place. You have to cleanse this place.
That is fine. What is your intention in coming close to us?
He knows her.
Knows who?
Her. Our lady.
I look back at spooked out Matthias. Have I noticed Taz being real freaky yet? That bitch smiling.
Taz, come back. I love you so much.
Oh, Taz, come back.
Oh my god, Vic. No, go away. Go back.
Thank you, VJ.
Did you want to do anything with Taz?
I'm looking towards Matthias. I just want to see if I see the fuck shit going on with Taz.
Yeah, still afeared.
Yeah.
I do have a thing for that.
Oh.
And of course, as Oesh, he stumbles back, knocks into Kiara. Kiara goes on her ass.
Yep.
Keeps walking back, and then Oesh steps forward, and as they step forward, he kind of focuses on their braids and just like all the jewelry, just like
There's some braided in too, yeah.
distracts him for a moment, and he tries to listen as well as he can to what this lumen is saying, while also just warring with this feeling of unbridled fear that is coursing through his body and like taking his brain into every single direction. And there is this pressurized pain as it becomes too much almost to mentally bear, and this pressure just grows and grows, and he closes his eyes hard as Oesh turns back to look at him with this lumen pointing at him, and he closes his eyes and he looks even paler than usual, and you can see the pain on his face, and he just focuses and takes a deep breath in and opens his eyes, and there is like this brightness to them for a moment that is unnaturally clear. And there's that familiar feeling of standing next to a subwoofer as this like vibration seems to radiate from him outward, and you get just Kiara, you can feel it through the ground. Oesh, you can feel it slightly through the air. And his form clenches, his muscles stiffen, and then he blinks and opens his eyes again and breathes out, and he channels divinity to clear himself of the feared condition.
Amazing.
And looks at Oesh and at the lumen.
You are no longer frightened, Matthias.
Oesh puts their hand down. That took a lot of effort from them, so they'd like to not keep it up for as long as possible. And they say, "It appears you're needed."
Then I will go.
The jaw opens in a horrific approximation of a pleased grin, and then clatters off to the ground as the red threads unravel. She falls to her knees before you, Matthias Markart, and scatters into bone.
She was a lumen at the Temple to Ladir.
And Awaish steps over the remains and looks back to the rest of the party.
Is Kiara still frightened?
You are no longer frightened.
Is Dad still grinning?
Am I still grinning like the Joker?
No.
That's having a little bit of a Joker moment.
God.
As you are no longer frightened, and you are no longer smiling, but the age effect still remains.
Kara will get to their feet.
Barden, help.
I'm gonna pick that body back up. Not the lumen, but not the, like, high lumen,
you?
but the other person. I would have to put the lumen into a bag, I think, if I wanted to carry her remains with me, sadly.
You would. Matthias, you know the way. The Temple of the Forgotten.
Yes.
You let your feet carry you on a familiar path. And as you all approach, begin to hear, far off in the distance, singing. Low, echoing, singing. And now let's see if this works. If we're in Roll20 here, I have a song for you all. Let me know when I'm good to give it a shot.
Go ahead and try it.
I'm in.
All right.
We'll see. This works.
That's the wrong one. Let me
Okay.
fix it.
I
Get
did
a
not hear
different-
anything, so it's fine.
Also, yeah,
Okay.
if you want to go into your gears, everyone, and click audio and video and make sure that your master music volume level is up.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, then I'll fix this again in a second. As you guys approach hearing this music, with this marching order, are you changing it at all, or are you continuing in that same order? Did Away step in front?
I think Awaish is in front now. Unless Matthias takes the front, in which case they'll be second.
I'll just stand beside them,
Decide.
adjacent.
I'm so
Very
queer.
personal. That is very, very personal to me. Yes. So you
parents,
step
yum.
forward. You step forward to see the Temple of the Forgotten. This is an arched cathedral, similar material to the city of Leicastle, black stone, obsidian in places, but in just a few parapets, a few arches, there's a glowing white marble that's been laid over the outside to create the illusion of some massive, hunched, dark figure with bones showing through its face. It's surrounded by mist, but there are lights glowing from inside. Stained glass windows that depict sunrises and sunsets, birds in flight, wings open, similar to the symbol you saw on the tiefling's forehead. Branches planted around the outside of this cathedral is a garden, a maze of tangled branches that, in your memory, Matthias, held white roses. All of the plants have wilted. Petals scatter on the ground as you pass through the center of this garden towards the entrance to the temple, and you hear that music. It's uploaded now, so let's give this one a shot. Here we go.
Anybody?
Not hearing
Nothing
anything
showing on
about-
my now playing even.
Would you like to come play it through my mic?
Ooh, I could give that a shot.
You could.
Alrighty. Oh, I got it. Yes.
That she allows our voices to reach through the halls of anguish, keep to hold our unprofaned once more in versed arms in peaceful sleep. Our remembrance consecrated in our sanctified.
Hey.
Familiar song to you, Matthias. You can sing the words alongside it if you would like.
I think that Matthias is shocked, and then the last two lines he mouths to himself as he remembers this song and singing it, and his mother singing it to him.
Yeah. It continues to echo and repeat as you approach this cathedral. You see this door is not chained, is not barred, but the white wood is swung open and waiting for you.
Violet's gonna unsheathe her sword and also set it so it glows.
Uh,
Yara has her shield out.
At the side, yeah, and the shield. Don't
Wish
like
looked up.
this.
at Matthias and says, "Forward from our card."
Forward.
Valerian, we are with you.
And he nods and then takes a deep breath and steps into the temple.
In the Temple of the Forgotten, let's see if we can get multiverse up.
Oh, let me open that bitch back up.
If you can't, if it's not super, visible, having Sloane and Matthias as our marker in the map is just fine too.
Amazing. I definitely can see it for a bit. So I want to come see the amazing map that you've made.
And there we go. One more multiverse. All right. Are we in?
I believe that we are, yeah.
You step through the entrance to the Temple of the Forgotten, to the first chamber, the encoding chamber. 2 torches are lit beside a set of dark stone stairs. You see pillars set out before you. But it is, besides those torches, which should give off 20-30 feet of light, they're dim. Maybe only 10 feet. Oppressive shadows that surround you. The singing, once all of you step inside, stops.
Did you say the singing stops?
And
Can we
yeah,
get
step
ahead
forward.
We're getting yoinked into the map by our lovely DM.
While that's happening, Matthias, as they step inside, he looks around. My mother is a devout follower of Lightyear. She used to bring me here.
I'm guessing it is not the same as it was once.
Certainly not.
Can we see where that singing was coming from, Alex?
You can give me a perception check if you want. It is dark here, so you will need to make perception checks with disadvantage.
Did he say that the lights give less
an
light?
advanced?
And so with if you step outside, if you're trying to see things that are beyond the radius of the light, it is basically pure darkness. So if you have dark vision, it is still considered dim light, which means you roll with disadvantage. If you don't have dark vision, you just cannot see through it, and you don't get to make a perception check.
I will say that Titan's Wrath has 10 foot of light.
Yeah.
So there is
so
that.
It's clouded right now.
Yeah, I made it shiny.
Azrael is wandering all over the map.
It looks pitch black on our end.
Yeah, I don't know where I am.
Oh god, yeah, I just changed the pitch black. I got a 17 and a 6, so that's a 10 for me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right, we're doing perception.
There we are.
Oh my god, I'm shaking.
It's spooky.
It is very spooky. That is a perception. 12.
I got a 9.
Okay.
Because, yeah, Kiara has dark vision, but this is
5.
All right. No one got above a 15? Besides... Okay, wonderful. Bonk. There we go. Oh, you guys all look so nice hanging out together. So lovely. Right. So then you do not see, any of you, the location of where the singing might be coming from. The most vague approximation that any of you get is that there's an echoing sense out here. This chamber does open up a little bit more once you go down the steps. The lights that you can see give you just a bit of a sense that this is probably maybe 15 or 20 feet across here, and then it opens up a little bit further. but you don't see any shapes moving in, as you squint through the dim light. You can vaguely make out, with the light of Barden's sword, 2 altars ahead of you.
I'm gonna approach those altars.
For it.
I think as they walk forward, Kiara is going to go ahead and cast light on their shield.
Okay. So you
which
are
will give 20 feet of light.
Mhm. So that's 20 feet of light and 10 feet from Barden's sword. You step towards these altars, swords, shields raised. And on one, Matthias, there's a key. On the other, there is another key.
Anything familiar?
The app is working.
Anything familiar about either of these keys?
Well, one of them is made of a white bone-like material that appears to have been carved into the shape of a key, some kind of femur. The other is a brass metal key. If you want to pick them up, you can get an investigation check to look a little bit more closer.
Yeah. I'll start with the brass one. That looks normal.
Mm-hmm. Give me an investigation check.
Okay.
Would anyone else like to look at the other key while he does that?
I mean, I'm right there.
Kiara is not going to approach, but they are going to clutch onto their, well, not holy symbol, just white knuckle their shield and cast detect magic.
Okay.
That's a
I will say
14.
16.
16. Okay. Pretty good. There's a glowing shield for you, Kiara.
Thank you.
What's
You're
up, Tess?
welcome.
Alex, I got a 23 for the investigation looking at the other key.
Okay, so Oish and Taz look at that key together and can pick it up, and Matthias looked at the brass key. Alrighty. So first, as you pick up this metal key, it is cold in your hand. Flipping it over, there is a small inscription that is written on it. Do you speak Celestial?
I
don't.
do not.
All right, so you don't know what that says yet. Oish and Tazriel. Taz, and you can kind of pick this and hold it up with the light of Kiara's shield coming forward and Barden's sword. And you guys see that the edge of this key, where it looks like it might have been carved, is actually teeth. The edges of the key are not human teeth, but more like kind of a fang or a tusk-like tooth that have been laid out in place. It also is unnaturally cold to the touch, almost uncomfortably so. You can tell that if you hold it any longer, it's just going to make your fingers start going numb, Tazriel. So you might want to set it back down. But as you set it down, flip it over, you also see an inscription that is Celestial.
Do you speak Celestial, Tazriel?
No.
Can I
Does Oish?
recognize that it is Celestial?
Mm-hmm. I think you've studied enough to know what these symbols look like.
I look to, seeing that Taz obviously doesn't know what it is, I'll look to Barden and Kiara and say, what languages do you speak?
I feel like I'm trying to see if Kiara has Celestial racially.
As an ASMR, usually.
Yeah.
You might actually, yeah. Well, I'll say this. I'm not certain, but I will give Kiara a chance to possibly recognize this if you want to give me, call this history or arcana.
History, please.
Mm-hmm.
That is a 15 plus 3, 18.
8, you needed to beat a 17.
Nice. Hell yes.
Sense of this. So, since we're not sure if Kira actually speaks Celestial or not, I think that this is more related to symbols that you would have seen being around the Raj. Some Celestial is used in religious rituals related to Bane, clerics, that kind of thing. Some kinds of knowledge are written down in it. It is considered a very more of like, I don't know, an elegant or pure language in that it can sometimes be harder to convey complex ideas in, but things that are written in it are very like clear and concise and easy to understand and true. Similar in some ways to Orcish in this world, where again, things aren't said in ways that are as complex, so you have to be more upfront or forthright when you're using Orcish. But Celestial is more like it is really, really, really hard to lie in Celestial. You just have to speak an untruth straight up. You can't dance around anything when you're using this language. So the approximation that you get is less, a full sentence that you can easily decode, more like the bronze key says something like retain or hold on to in like a command way, like holds on to dialect. And then the bone key says something like forget or lose or fade. So you have retain for the bronze key and fade for the bone key.
I think Kiara instinctively takes a step a little bit, like shifts away from the bone key and will explain that from the best that I can tell, that one is about holding on and that one is about forgetting.
Taz drops the key immediately at that.
This is the place that erases memories sometimes, right? As rehabilitation, be careful. Also, DM, I had cast Detect Magic.
Thank you for that reminder. I wanted to say, before you cast Detect Magic as well, Oish, you would cast Detect Magic back with the nun? Or with the...
Yes, with the lumen.
With how you guys have been traveling.
Oh, no, with the body, yeah.
If you wanted to maintain concentration on Detect Magic, I think it's 10 minutes, right?
Yeah, it's 10 minutes.
So that could still be up. I say that to save Pooja a spell slot, possibly, if...
Oh, no, I have it at will, without spell slots.
Sexy. I would still like it up, though.
Yes. So then both of you can sense that, again, now that there's light on the shield, that gives a little bit of a sense. Neither of these keys are inherently magical.
Okay.
There is a distinct presence of necromancy here. It's not coming from an item you can see or an aura you could see, but a distinct, almost like you activate your spells or you're holding on to your spells, and it's like a stench of some kind, a thick sulfurous ozone tremble in your hands, your bones. To be in this location right now is to be steeped in it.
Matthias is going to step forward and pick up. He has the brass key in his hand. He's going to pick up the bone key. We'll need both of these, I think, potentially.
The bone key is warm in your hand, Matthias.
And I think before we go any further, Kiara will close her eyes and cast drop her Detect Magic and cast Bless on never mind, Bless is a minute, that doesn't make sense. I guess she'll just cast Guidance on Matthias.
Thanks.
Just in cases.
If you like, this is something that I've done before. So you are aware you're in a dangerous location. In another game, I might call this a location hazard, but this is...
Stop that. Don't bring zombies into this.
But this location, you're aware that it is dangerous. And so if you're thinking that Kiara might be thinking about the spell Bless, I will allow you to say, okay, Kiara's going to cast Bless if there's something that appears that's threatening, which means that I would let you get the spell out before the first round of combat if combat gets initiated.
Yeah, because as a radiant caster,
Mm-hmm.
necromancy is given big heebie-jeebies. So I am also going to I'm gonna go ahead and say that I will be casting it at 2nd level.
Okay, got it. So holding that up, almost like you're readying the action, but you're not actually concentrating on holding the spell in your mind.
People
Okay.
don't necessarily. I mean, people. They do forget here, but it's not the same. The Lykars are. You're not meant to see those memories again. This is different. They give you a place where you can keep your memories. They take them and keep them, and you come back and you look at them. It's a ritual, and then you put them back, and as long as you keep them here, they'll never fade. And you can't remember them while they're here, but that's the point of coming back.
Matthias, you say the word fade, and you all hear in the distance a bell. Oh, low and loud. And then there's a drip, drip, drip as you finish your words. And there it is. I'm going to need, I think it would be Matthias, having said those words, to make a charisma saving throw for me.
Oh, shit.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, you're charismatic. You got this.
I rolled a 12, so that's an 18.
Yeah.
You say the words fade, and the two keys that you're holding, the one in your hand, the bone one, you feel it sort of shift and tremble. And then those teeth, the teeth of the key, extend. Because you are holding it, you just take the damage. You take 3 points of piercing damage as the teeth bite into your hand.
All right.
And you feel a separation, almost. You are a person who's very grounded in his body. Your body is a tool you know how to use. You are even in touch with some of the deeper functions of your body. I would say you can feel these strange sensations regarding your spine or your bone or your hands, the way your skeleton shifts inside you. But as you feel that bite, the moment of pain in your hand, the pain stops too suddenly. You go almost entirely numb. That sense of being grounded in your body disappears. You feel like you are floating, tiny, in an infinitesimal black space. And then you yank back into your body, and you feel the pain again.
Ugh. Fuck.
What happened? What's going on? What's that bell?
I don't know. The key changed. It just cut me. It's fine. Is going to quite urgently shove his hand against probably honestly his other glove, just whatever other piece of fabric he can get to staunch and stem the bleeding.
Another sound that comes. That dripping growing louder. And all of you see stepping in to the light, the shield, and the sword, a strange figure. He wears a long white cowl, holding up a hand, reaching out towards Matthias, and that key around his neck are strung thin, small bones, maybe the size of a child's pinky. He wears the long robes of a priest, where this man's creature's face should be. Pale, sunken, and sallow flesh covers only the top half. You can see his eyes, but there's stitching around the cheeks, and the pupils that stare at you out from the shadows are like tiny circular rings of light, the darkness in the middle. But the bottom half of this man creature's face is teeth, rows and rows and rows of long, jagged teeth. If you shift to roll 20 for a moment.
Oh god. Oh my lord, have mercy. Alex.
Oh God.
You see a priest, Matthias, the key in your hand, and he says, in a voice that comes like a clicking, clattering echo, It is time. You have come for Mass, come to worship, and then I do need you to make one more wisdom saving throw with them. Since you are still holding his key. Wait, did you drop the key, or did you hold on
Nope,
to
he
it?
still got it in his hand.
Okay,
Oh,
one more wisdom
boy.
saving throw.
That is a 12.
A 12. Are you going to use your ability one more time, Tazriel?
Yes.
Okay.
Add a d6. Please roll better than a 1.
Well, I did. I rolled a 2. So that's a 14.
14. There are a few things you know in this moment, Markhart. This priest before you is a creature made of faith. And this father, his faith is the same as yours. He is of bone, and you are of bone. And as he looks towards you and says, "It is time to worship," you are pulled down to your knees in supplication. And your spine shivers in delight. And that is where we are going to end session for today.
See you next week, everybody.
Okay.
We will see you next week. Thank you so much for watching. We'll give our little shout out to, again, Soundtail. Thank you so much for the amazing music. One more multiverse. that's where I created the map that you saw earlier. Also, again, you can find join people who watch the show on the One More Multiverse Discord, discord.gg/multiverse. So we're gonna have more chats and discussions in that server occasionally. Make sure you follow Total Party Kiss on Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe here. We have an amazing show coming up tomorrow, Tragedy of Theologian, which happens Sunday evenings at 8:30 p.m. EST. And anything else anyone want to add? All good?
Did you already talk about the YouTube?
Oh, and the YouTube. No, all of our past episodes for Strange Hungers are now up on our YouTube. Thank you so much, Sloan, our amazing producer. You can go watch back, catch up, find our past episodes both on our YouTube, and we have a little wiki which you can find on our Twitter.
Other thing is, may or may not be in next week. We really hope that we are, but in the case that we're not, sorry to you and me.
We'll see you in 2 weeks. If that's true.
But you can keep an eye on our Twitter, and we will let you know. Thank you all so much. Gotta go drink some water.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you for watching. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.